Right.
Hi there.
Hello.
I am the CEO. So we've got an eager guest tonight.
You're sorry?
I am the CRM ninja, and on today's episode of the Oops Factor, I have Ben Haynes. Welcome to the show, Ben.
Hello. It's nice to be here.
It's lovely to see you. We've chatted a lot on Twitter, and now we're sort of face to face.
Yes, probably for the first time. That's true. Yes.
Indeed, indeed. See, people, you don't have to know me well. You can come on it, without even knowing me. So, before getting on to your Oops Factor story, I understand that you have two interests in life. Well, you probably have a lot more interests, but they are mountain biking and knitting, virtual knitting.
I did wonder. Yes, I do. So, the first one I've done for many years. The second one I haven't done for that many years. That probably a year now. So It was strange, but it's the other way around. So it's mountain biking I've done for a long time. All sorts of cycling I do. And knitting is a lockdown thing where all the rest of my family were doing it, and I thought I ought to learn that. So I've learnt it, and I've now knitted a wonky blanket that I have here to keep me warm in the study. That's taken me ages. And I have also, I'm at the moment of knitting a scarf. As long as it is rectangular or square, I can knit it. If it requires anything else, like I'm nowhere near jumpers or anything else like that now. But it is relaxing. And it also means that you sit there, if you're watching television and you think, oh, I should be doing something else, I do find it quite calming from that thing.
So what you're saying is for people to feel very productive when watching television or TV series or movies or whatever, they should take up knitting.
Exactly. I'd agree with that. And I know that in the Second World War, there was one of the people who used to advise Churchill, and he used to sit and knit in the cabinet office, and he used to get told off because of the noise of the needles. Because they because they used to teach people in the First World War to knit for that very reason. Also, one, to look after their kit, but secondly, so that they could mend and do their things. So yeah, it was there. So it's not unusual for men to knit. I suppose it is more now, but I mean that ability to do it is something that's been around for a long time.
Got it. I mean, I was taught to knit as a child. I haven't kept it up, admittedly, but I have been to the cabinet ballrooms quite a few times, and I can't recall there being. Yeah, I have, and I can't recall there being any mention of someone knitting.
Yeah, there was one of them, and I can't think who it is. There's part of
I'm going to contact them.
It's A.B.G. Taylor, but I can't remember.
I'm going to contact them. In my single days, I had a flatmate. He actually worked for the Imperial War Museum.
Well, there you go. It'd be worth asking. Yeah, definitely.
Yes. I'm going to reach out.
One of his advisors. Yes, do. I'd be really interested. I think it's Taylor, but I'd be interested to know. But yes, I definitely used to knit, and it used to annoy Churchill.
Wonderful. Well, hopefully you don't annoy anyone with the knitting that you do.
No, not at all. I just sit in the corner and get on and do it. And then buy different wools, which is quite fascinating. And I've also found that you can get wools and stuff in charity shops as well. And as I'm never knitting anything like a jumper where I need the same wool, I just go for anything I like, really. Just end up with hundreds of squares.
Psychedelic scarves?
Anything, yeah. Oh, the one that I'm knitting at the moment is fairly psychedelic. It's sort of red with bits of blue and everything in it. But again, that's charity shop wool. So I'm kind of worried that it's not going to be big enough. And it also seems to be incredibly heavy. So it might strangle anyone who actually tried to wear it as a scarf.
Right. Okay. But I look forward to seeing pictures of it on Twitter when it's done.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I shall do that. And I'll try and wear it if it's long enough, if I haven't run out of wool.
Wonderful. And we shall all cheer you on. And hopefully it won't be too warm.
No,
especially getting into summer.
It'll probably be warm. Yeah, it's been a lovely day today. Yeah,
it has been lovely. So, moving from mountain biking and knitting to the Oops Factor, what do you have to share with us?
So, I come from developer background. So I started off as a developer in VB6, and then into VB.NET, and then C# and then slowly into Power Platform, which is by far most exciting and by far the best thing. But
Low code, no code.
yes. Yeah, until you start to read some of the articles and you think, well, I wouldn't like to be someone on who doesn't quite understand some of these programming concepts when they suddenly mention some of the topics that are in there. But
Yes.
so when I first started moving into the sort of that area, the Office 365 area, I used to do quite a lot of SharePoint development. In fact,
Okay.
I did SharePoint development from when it was Taiho all the way through. And
Wow.
yeah, and I think it was about the 2003, maybe 2003, moving to 2007. I produced a web part as it was then, and I went and installed it on a server,
Okay.
and I had produced the package, and then inside of the package, I had put in a DLL unaware to myself that was crucial for the underlying workings of SharePoint. Installed
Okay.
it onto the customer's server without checking it, and broke the whole of their SharePoint because the DLL was the same name but for two different versions, one 2003, one 2007. And
Oof.
I had one of those cook things on your face sort of moments. It was then, as it probably still is, but you don't see them so much now. It used to be in the infrastructure days when you had to go downstairs because all the server rooms were always downstairs, and it was cold, and I can still remember my face burning and thinking, I don't know how I've got to get this back. Do I have to run a wizard? Do I have to install service packs? What do I do? And the thing with it is, even though it was one incident, it stays with me. It's probably one of the reasons why I like the work that I'm doing now, because you can't do that type of thing. That's one of the reasons I like the cloud is you can't do that type of thing. But
Microsoft just hides it all away from you
they
with
hide
a
it all
nice
away, but
shiny
I
front
can't go.
end.
I can't accidentally pull a DLL into a package and then deploy it onto the server. And I think so. It's one of the things is I think it's reason I may have moved subconsciously into the area I'm in because I can't do that sort of mucking up. But also, it's made me realise the absolute importance of testing and application lifecycle management in whatever I'm doing. So to make
Yes.
sure that I should never ever be in a position again where I'm going on a customer site with something that has the potential to do that because it should have been caught. And once you've done it once, and it was I think it's SharePoint's 20th birthday coming up in a few weeks, so it must be 18 years ago, 18 years ago. But I still remember it because I can remember that feeling of thinking, what have I done? How do we get back out of this? And now knowing that I'd never ever go anywhere near doing anything like that again. And even in low code, it's still the things that you make can still affect it. So solutions and that is absolutely brilliant for me because you say, right, I'm going to put in that solution. I'm going to move it into the integration environment. I'm going to
Manage
check it works there.
solutions.
I'm going to make, yes. So once we're now beginning to get them for Dataverse for Teams, that will be great. I can see that we're beginning to be able to export. And with Canvas apps against SharePoint, whisper it, but that's where I come from.
It's okay. It's okay.
You same again, you can still ensure that you have separate lists to make sure that when you move stuff, it moves into the list properly. You make sure that you don't have rights to anything like that so that you can test it. And I'm a big believer now in throw stuff over the wall. So let the developer do it, throw it over the wall, someone else installs it, they test it. And if the install doesn't go right, it then comes back to you. And that all
Yeah.
comes from one DLL, and it's very easy to bypass all this stuff, particularly if you're working on your own project by yourself. You can think, oh, I don't need to do that, but you do because you'll end up in the same scenario I did.
It's very true. It's a bit like in some ways, how toys are tested. You give it to a 3-year-old, and if a 3-year-old can't destroy it, then it's probably going to survive everything.
I think that's fair, and I agree with that. But I also and I think we now, because of the speed of which we can produce things and the robustness, because the underlying thing, if I want to create an item in SharePoint, I can create an item in SharePoint. I haven't got to write all the underlying code that goes and creates that. That's going to fail or any of that type of stuff because the low code allows me to just connect it in. It's very easy to think that everything has to go out perfect, but I still
Oh
believe
no.
that known issues saying these are the known issues with this. It's so important, as much, so that people know and they can comment and say, well, actually, it'd be nice if it did this or it did that. But the known issues are up front and in front of people. So I just a firm believer in application lifecycle management wherever and whenever.
Absolutely agree with you on that one. And I mean, look, behind the scenes, there are still bugs that happen. We all know those. We've come across them. And even within solutions themselves, there are still sort of loopholes where they haven't yet closed the gap, and you can do things that you shouldn't do, even within a managed solution.
Yeah. Maybe I don't know those. Maybe I'm living on the nice side at the moment. I definitely see the horrible ones where you put it in and then you get some weird error and you still have to go into classic view for it to actually tell you what it wants.
Oh, yes. No, I was referring to the fact you can actually edit a canvas app that's held within a managed solution.
Can you?
Yes.
And now, see, that's the sort of thing that I'm best off not knowing.
Not knowing, yes.
Yes.
We haven't mentioned that. This may be cut out, this part.
It's definitely one of those things that, I can see. But then that would be covered by what I was saying, I think, of saying, well, I would throw it over the wall. So I wouldn't have, as a developer, permission to that integration environment. So when I throw
agreed.
Managed or unmanaged, I shouldn't be able to do it in there anyway. There's nothing worse than when you see people, and you obviously don't see it at the moment in the light of everything that's going on, but when you see the developer or maker hanging over the person's desk who is testing or everything, goes, oh, so I'll just do a bit of that and I'll change that, and there you go, it's all right. And then you think, are you going to put that back into the development one, or the next time you release it, they're going to go through exactly the same pain?
Yeah. It's important to do it, as you say, in the right way. And I mean, ALM, application lifecycle management, is getting to be such an important topic. There's some great people out there talking about it and some good resources. So if you haven't taken a look already, listeners, viewers, go take a look at, ALM and Power Platform. Really, really important topics.
And we'll get bigger and bigger, I think.
It will get. I know that there's some really good stuff that's coming down the pipeline that I can't talk about. So yeah, it's definitely an area that Microsoft is focusing on.
Good.
Shall we say?
And I think one of the things with it as well is, and it's a bit like the announcement of PowerFX, in my opinion, that it's showing an investment from Microsoft over coming years. So by not telling us when everything's going to be there, we know that there's an overall investment in the Power Platform in years going forward. And I think that's obvious anyway, but some people it's easy for people to get frightened because of what happened to them in the past. They invested in it and then it disappeared overnight, and that's clearly not going to happen on the Power Platform. So the fact that ALM is coming to the forefront is another indication, and the way it's going into DevOps, in my opinion, is another indication of showing the investment, and that we're here with something that's going to just get bigger and is not going to disappear. Whether it will look the same in 10 years' time or not, I don't know. But the concept of low code and the concept of a Power Platform, I think, will be with us for many years to come.
Indeed, I fully agree with that. I don't think it's going anywhere, not by judging by the amount of resource that Microsoft has poured into it.
Yes, which is something, of course, they emphasize whenever they talk about it at the same time.
That is true, but then that is marketing for you. So
yes, I agree.
It is great.
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, Ben, thank you so much for coming on the Oops Factor. Really appreciate you sharing your story.
Thank you. It was nice to chat to you, and hopefully we will again soon.
Indeed. Viewers, I hope you've enjoyed this episode and seen what's come out from just a single small DLL that happened to make its way somewhere.
Yeah, it's still ingrained in my memory.
If you would like to come on the show, hit the link below, and I will be more than happy to have you on the show. Please feel free to subscribe to the channel, check out the rest of the Oops Factor stories, and take a look at the blog. And above all, have a great day.